This video is meant to just help you understand domain and range and solidify your understandings on those concepts. Okay, so domain is all the input values. So in this case, anything that could have shown up in there. Our situation is talking about the area of a square measured in square centimeters that is a function of its side length. Okay, so the side length is the input. Whatever it's a function of is the input. So when we think about the lengths of a side of a square, what kind of numbers could we have? Okay. Can they be positive? Can they be negative? Can they be fractions? Can they be decimals? Can it be zero? Okay. In this case, our domain would be all positive numbers. Right? It just has to be positive. It really doesn't make a square if its side length is 0. It can't be negative. Okay. It can be a fraction. I could draw a line that was some kind of a fraction or a decimal length long. So those kinds of numbers work. So my domain is just all positive numbers. My range, okay, my range is all the output values. So in this case, it says the area of a square is a function of, so the area of a square is my output. Okay, so what numbers could the area be? Remember, the area is one side times the other side. Gives me the area. And because my inputs are only are only positive numbers, my outputs are only going to be positive numbers also. And decimals are going to be possible, and fractions are going to be possible, but I won't be able to get 0 and I won't get negative numbers. Okay, the tennis camp charges $40 per student for a full day camp. The camp only runs if 5 students sign up, and it limits the enrollment to 16 campers. The amount of revenue in dollars that the tennis camp collects is a function of the number of students that enroll. Okay, so students that enroll is my input. So my domain is how many students there are. And it says that we don't have camp if there isn't at least 5. And it limits the enrollment to 16. So my domain is let's say whole numbers from 5 to 16. Okay, because I can't have fractions of students and I can't have decimals of students. And it can't be negative. It has to be whole numbers, and it's limited just to that range of numbers that fall between 5 and 16. Now my actual range, the range meaning the dollar amount, because the amount of revenue is my range, my outputs. Those values are 40 per student. So if there was 5 students there, the camp would make $200. And if they had the maximum of 16 students there, the camp would make $640. So the range would be listed as multiples of 40, because the only numbers that are going to work are multiples of 40, from 200 to 640. Now, if you're finding this a little bit hard for the range, you can kind of make a table of values. That sometimes helps. So if there was 5 students, it would be $200, and 6 students, I'm just plugging values of n in here. 40 times 6 is 240, and 7 students would be 280, and 8 students is 320. I can just keep following that pattern up to find out the smallest and the largest numbers I can get. The relationship between temperature in Celsius and the temperature in Kelvin can be represented by the function K. Okay, and here is our function. C is the temperature in Celsius and K is the temperature in Kelvin. Okay, my inputs are the temperatures in Celsius, right? Because that's right there. Temperatures can be positive, they can be negative, they can be fractions, they can be decimals. Okay, so I can just say my domain is all numbers. And my range will also be all numbers. Okay, so here's a new kind of example that we haven't seen. A small bus charges $3.50 per person for a ride from the train station to a concert. The bus will run if at least 3 people take it and cannot fit more than 10 people. So how much you have to pay depends on how many people there are. So people is the domain. And in this case, the smallest number I can have is 3. And the largest number I can have is 10. Because we're talking about people, they have to be whole numbers. And then it will be from 3 to 10. My range, okay, I have to pay $3.50 per person. So if 3 people came, I'd have to pay $3.50 times 3, which is $10.50. Okay. And if 10 people came, I would have to pay $35. So my range is multiples of $3.50 from $10.50 to $35.